trying to do my best. My family's there, everything like that, all the pressure. And recall I brought me halftime. I was just like, man, just play basketball.
This is Keifer Sykes, statistically one of the most athletic players to ever make it to the NBA, who also has one of the most inspiring stories you'll ever hear about grinding and never giving up. Being an undersized guard listed at just 5'11", who also attended a mid-major college at UW Green Bay, the odds of Keifer making it to the NBA were pretty low.
It's really not about the NBA. That's my dream, but I know the odds of going to the NBA, so I'll just use basketball to get as far as I can.
But considering he recorded the 19th highest vertical jump ever at the NBA Combine with 43 inches, it was pretty obvious what he was capable of doing. After dominating and becoming one of the greatest players to ever attend UWGB, Keifer went undrafted in the 2015 NBA Draft, but that was only the beginning. He spent some time in the G League before playing in multiple countries overseas, before he ultimately came back to the US and got his shot at the NBA with the Indiana Pacers. Since the recording of this video, Keifer won the championship in the Polish Basketball League during June, and it was recently announced that UWGB will be retiring his jersey, along with naming him as the program's first ever general manager to begin the 2025-26 season. In today's video, I had the opportunity to interview Keifer for an article in the UWGB school newspaper, where we got to hear everything from his time at GB to going overseas, playing in the NBA, and some things that he's been up to recently, as he plans for life after basketball. His story is one that all hoop fans should hear, so make sure you watch till the end and subscribe if you're new. So to start, what offers did you have out of high school, and then why'd you choose to go to Green Bay?
Yeah, I only had 2 offers coming out of high school. So I had Eastern Illinois, and then I had GB. I was going into my senior year. I was playing well, getting better. But I chose to sign with GB just because of the fit, the love they showed. It was not far from home with me living in Chicago. So it was a thing where, every time we'll have open gym, or I'll have or when they would come visit me during the open periods, it'd be 2 or 3 or maybe even the whole staff. Then when they did the home visit for me, they really sold my parents, saying that I would graduate, saying how we would be able to change the program. They already had Alec Brown, so everything was trending upward, and I felt like it was a good fit for me. So I signed early. I committed my junior year and signed in before the season, and with that I had a lot of interest, a couple offers. I just felt like it was the right decision.
Yeah. So looking at your time at GB, what would you say is overall something you learned that helped you as a person?
What I learned the most was just being able to stay focused. Green Bay was a small town. I was young, so I was 17, the youngest freshman in the country. So I had to be real mature. We had that helped us be mature, held us accountable, kind of being the first time, you're away from home and stuff, you're on campus. So just being responsible, what I'm saying, and them treating us just like men, it took me far. And, as the later years I was getting ready to be, I feel like I would play pro basketball there somewhere, so treating us like pros, letting us be professional, holding us accountable, those were probably the most that I took from, on the court, but also off the court. So, yeah.
What would you say, what part of your game do you think improved the most from playing at GB?
I guess, this is not a real skill, but just my leadership skills, bringing guys together, and I say that also, which kind of makes sense because now, players move around year to year. We had a lot of player movement at the time too with transfers, but just being able to be a leader, just gain chemistry, just bring the best out of other people, it led to us having a lot of success. So I think that was just a true skill of mine that I wanted to continue to enhance. We only would get better, as far as we go together. So every day I was just trying to make the sacrifices necessary, but also lead from the front and do the work, and be a role model in that, and just lead the way. So I would say my leadership.
Okay. So then out of GB, you went undrafted and then joined the Cavs Summer League team before you got drafted to the Spurs G League. So out of GB, what was your expectations? Did you think you would get drafted? And then I think you worked out with some teams. Did you have any better workouts with any certain teams?
Yeah, so after GB, I feel like I had an open I didn't know if I would like play overseas. I didn't know if I would play G League. I didn't know if I would get drafted. I just knew, like, if you watch the movie, I just would be started from the bottom and have to work my way up, you know, in the professional ranks. And so with that, you know, I feel like I had better, like, some good workouts with the Spurs, which is why, you know, they gave me a look. I feel like I had good workouts with the Cavs. I feel like I had good workouts with the 76ers. All of those teams called me in for a second workout as well. That was good, which potentially is why I landed with those teams. Yeah, I kind of went into it with an open mind. I didn't want to, you know, coming from having so much success at GB, I didn't want to, like, be big-headed, or, you know, I wanted to stay leveled and just know that, you know, have a sense of, you know, no entitlement that I had to work for. Was going to get, you know, that none of that mattered, you know, especially with me coming from a mid-major. So it kind of already helped me out to going into a professional.
All right, so then it seems like you had a pretty good rookie year in the G League. Would you have like a overall memory of just like what that G League experience was like, and maybe either the best or worst parts about it?
Yeah, I mean, I was finally in some hot weather, so going from GB to Texas was cool. Yeah. And I think I had a pretty good year, you know, averaging 13 in the G League, where they having guys, assignment guys come down in it, so your team is different every game because, you know, at the time we had, 3 NBA teams. They would send their players to us to play in the G League. It was the Hawks, I believe, like the Jazz, and then the Spurs team. You know, every game I had to just get in where I fit in, and you know, as I kept working hard each day, I get more success. And that year we went to the Western Conference Finals, and I kept getting better as the season went on, and I had a bunch of big games towards the second half of the season. So I just remember that year just staying consistent, just getting better each and every day, and just focusing on that, because playing in the G League is not easy, especially at that time. I believe it was only like 18 teams, so it was less resources, you know, just that first grind after college, being a professional. So it was
yeah, and I think it's saying it was called the D League back then. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I was in the D League, exactly.
Okay. So yeah, then some said you were invited to the D League Elite camp. Is that like an all-star game, or what was that?
Yeah, so that's like after the season, you go to like, I think like top 40 players from the previous season, you know, go to this camp and get to work out, and, you know, a bunch of NBA personnel. So I was invited to that, and, you know, did well. So, you know, that tells you how, you know, even though, like, say 13 points, had a lot of success that season. That was a successful season for sure.
Yeah. And then my dad, he always tells me he remembers the G League dunk contest. Or did you do an NCAA dunk contest and G League?
Yeah, I did both.
Okay.
I did the league as well, which was in Toronto the year where I got to go to, like, you know, it was the same weekend as the All-Star game. But, you know, just getting the All-Star game, then seeing that dunk contest with Aaron Gordon was crazy. But yeah, I did the NCAA one, and then I did the D League All-Star game.
And did you, I don't think you won it, but were you like a finalist for the G League one?
I made the second place. I think I would have won, but I missed my dunk. I was something crazy. And I you know, that's at the time, and basketballs, you got to write them, like you practice balls, and then they, you know, it's different in that moment. So you got to be able to, you know, it was definitely a great experience.
Alright, so then we'll get to like playing overseas. We don't got to go over every country, but just in general, what would you say like life is like playing overseas, and like maybe issues with like language barriers or other cultural things?
Yeah, I think, you know, first, it's a blessing to play overseas. You know, like, it's only 450 spots, you know, in the NBA. Now they have 3-2 spots, so that's another, 90 spots. But then, you know, us basketball players, to play and make a good living abroad. You know, I was always looking forward to it, and I, you know, make the most of it and take advantage of it. But, you know, I've played in Korea first, played in Turkey, then I played in Italy, then I played in China, you know, then COVID hit. So then I did like an Italy stint, a little stint in Turkey for a couple weeks, Greece, and then Australia, kind of my journey. But I would say it's like the language barriers taken care of, you know, as far as like out in Asia, we have translators, you know, they have people that's with us most of the time. You know, people have been playing basketball in Europe the 1930s or something, 1940s. The biggest thing is just the mental part, just like players being able to mentally be strong enough and fit enough and conditioned to play abroad, because the conditions is not like the NCAA where you got a big campus and you got all the resources and everything is for you. And then it's not like the NBA, you know, whereas that's the highest level in the world. Most players, only 1% of people get in there, if that. So once, you know, you're able to realize like you're in a blessed position, because, you know, if you make it to those top clubs, it's just as good. Or if you play in good spots, then you'll be able to, you know, adjust to, like you said, like the time, you know, the distance. But for me, I always took advantage of those things. Like with the time zone being what it is, I'm able to like get a lot of sleep or just focus all on basketball. Beginning of my day, all of you are asleep. So I'm just training, napping, then I wake up and it's like middle of the day there. And with the distance, I get to explore and just learn so many things in the world that I want to learn and just continue to be such a positive person. And for my palate, like my world palate, is really beneficial based on your mindset and your conditioning.
Yeah, for sure. All right, that'll be good for the overseas. And then you made it back to the NBA. So when you were first signed by the Pacers, do you have like any idea how that connection came, or do you think it was because of your performance in the TBT?
So I actually got signed during the TBT.
Okay.
So played at Shams, and shout out to Shams. He's like the new head. So after that, like I said, after Australia, just my overseas stint, I was like, I saved up, like I want to try the NBA. And then I got the TBT opportunity. They called me and wanted me to play. Initially, I wasn't going to do it. You know, me and my agent was like, nah, we probably shouldn't do it if we try for the NBA. But the G League route, signed with 10, which is like a training camp deal with the team, but you're really signed to their G League. So during like the Elite 8 Final Four of the tournament, you know, I had a couple teams wanted me to play on there because it was like I was a good player, right? Like so I had a couple teams. I forgot which team, but I know once Indiana came across, it was like, oh, close to home, like I like their roster, like so I signed to them during the TBT because they were one of the teams that also was like, hey, you could play in the TBT, like it doesn't matter, like so yeah. Then we ultimately ended up winning it, and then you know with that G League, I mean we signed to them earlier in the summer league team, so I think that's kind of where things started because you know once I got there, we won all of our games. You know I was playing well, obviously, and then I went to training camp with them early, you know, playing really well, but kind of how the NBA works is really like a numbers game. I tell people it's really not. It's like politics and it's like numbers, but it's no spots, so it's players that's good enough, but the salary cap makes this, or you know they already got point guards making a big salary, so there's no room for you. Like then you have to be at the right place at the right time. Like you know, amidst me doing well, I feel like in training camp, I played the first game versus preseason, you know, did well. The second two games I didn't play at all. You know, actually after that first preseason game, they signed another guard, Brad Wanamaker. He was an NBA vet. Basically just gave him the last spot. So I got waived, had to go to the G League. I continued to play well. The Pacers big team wasn't doing as good. So I think like, you know, they kind of started going into like, they were going into rebuild mode, you know, like it was Carlisle's first year, also the president of the team. So he was, you know, building a team as him, a legendary coach, building a team the way he saw fit. They ended up, you know, kind of just rewarding me for, you know, all of my hard work, continuing to fight through every obstacle, then waiving me, just how I was playing. That's kind of how I got my opportunity.
Yeah, so then it says Caris LeVert got injured, so then you got called up to like the real Pacers roster. During that time, like how did it feel? Like what was your mindset, and then what was your mindset going into your first game like with the Pacers?
Yeah, I mean, it felt good. It was amazing because it was like around my thing and things like that. And I've just been working so hard since since high school. It just kind of felt like it was like a do or die moment, you know, like it was sort of like a 10-day, but it was like the way the contract was set up, like they gave me an official deal. So if I would have just not played well, I would have got waived. It wasn't even a traditional 10 days. So that's why, but it was the last 10 days before your guarantee. So it was like, you know, if I play well, I'm gonna get guaranteed and I'll get waived, and I don't think they expected me to play well. So my first game, I was nervous. NBA, I was nervous as ever. Couldn't really score. It just was jittery out there. Nerves, you know, I actually nerves are good. Like sometimes it could have you playing great moments, but this, you know, it could work against you. Then that second game, we played the Bulls, my home team, and it was cool because at halftime, nervous. You know, just the moment of building up your whole life.
Yeah.
Like that build up your whole life to make the NBA, and it's like also it's like a do or die moment for me because it's not like I didn't get a chance to begin of the year. It's like I'm in the middle of the year, so I'm trying to do my best. My family's there, everything like that, all the pressure. And where Carlisle brought me halftime, I was just like, man, just play basketball. And, like the same thing, the free throw line is here, the NBA 3 is here, it's basketball, and I was able to get my first bucket. And then from then on, I think the next game, I was able to start, had like 10 points, something like that, and 5-5 or 12-5-5 in Cleveland. And then I had a big game versus the Knicks as I was able to sit. And so it felt good. It really did feel good. And luckily I had the opportunity I had, and then I was ultimately able to, you know, make it through all the progressions.
Yeah, so you said your first bucket was against the Bulls.
Yeah.
And I think you had a go-ahead field goal against the Warriors. Besides those games, was there any that were more like memorable for you?
Yeah, playing the Bucks was good. I had like a playing in Wisconsin, so that was nice. You know what I mean? To be honest, a lot of memorable games. Like, I mean, Utah, like I had a lot of games that I remember personally. You know, the Nets, Kyrie first game back was starting versus KD, James Harden, Kyrie was decent. But yeah, just really that whole year was playing in Phoenix versus Chris Paul. Like just playing, you know, even games where I didn't play, like I remember, you know, playing the Lakers. We played the Clippers first, Lakers, where I didn't even play. And the next game we played the Warriors where I started winning, to go to these places, see like LeBron, to see players.
Okay, so then looking at all your experiences together, like G League, overseas, and NBA, what would you say is like the biggest differences like between the lifestyle and like routine and prep for these guys?
I would say the NBA is most talented. These players are the best players in the world. God-giving gifts and just supernatural ability. To consistently be able to do 80 games for years, fly to any city, any gym and do it, that's special talent. Overseas is just as good. People work hard. I would say cutthroat, so people trying to hold on to their spots because, in the NBA, players have to get rotated. Like it's a revolving door because it's a draft every year. Here is abroad, it's probably based on performance. And then I think Asia is more strictly talent and performance based. There is pretty cutthroat if you're not putting up high numbers. Your contracts are really not guaranteed, so they can remove you within a month or two. So all of it is different. The NBA is the best of the best, though. I would say that for like the top players, though. But like everybody in the NBA is not good, though. I'm no player that's better than players that's on the back half of roster.
Yeah.
But like age and draft and like I said, being at the right place, with the right people, agency, group, whatever that case may be. So but to be able to play basketball professionally, something that everybody, you have to work.
Yeah, good for that section. Then for the GB camp that you did, what was your biggest inspiration for starting the camp, and then any plans for it in the future?
Yeah, so I plan to do the GB camp every year if I can, if I continue to make it big and do well. Because I've been trying to be around a little last couple of years, and they put me in the Hall of Fame. Like one year the team didn't do well, and then they got like a new coach year. So I just felt like it was time for me to just try to come back and bring some alumni back. Like with all the NIL stuff, like I said, it's college is more sporadic. A level of interchanging is I wanted to like with a small school like Green Bay. I just thought it was important for us to build some culture, build some community, and just kind of find a way to like bring the alumni together. So it goes back to me just like my leadership, just trying to trailblaze, give back to us that gave so much to me and to us. So hopefully I could like bring more players. Hopefully they get recognition for the things they done, and just wait for us to just acknowledge the hit of the school and just the basketball in a sense and in the city.
Yeah. Okay. And just a random question. I know Harry Boyce was part of that camp. Did you like train with him when you were in college or no?
Yeah, I trained with him, and also like he professional when we was in college, so he was that we looked up to, because we would just play each other all summer. College work, you just train all summer, but it was him and a bunch of guys in the community compete with, just test ourselves, hang out with as far as like basketball wise. So we gained a relationship, pretty much the whole Boyce family. But he's a big time trainer up there now. So like I said, just bring Green Bay together in general. Like we brought like T-Jazz, and I've known Amari since he was young. He's in high school now, head coach at Schwabenheim now. He GB, so like because there's no pro team in Green Bay, is like the college team, the highest level team. So if we could find a way to just bring some significance to the team and recruit players and find a way to get this team to have success every year and consistently, I'm here to just try to do my part.
Yeah. All right, then we can start wrapping it up here. You're doing your stuff at Harvard because I know you're trying to become like a team owner. What was your inspiration for like going into this route, and then what does the process look like? Like where do you have to start?
Yeah, so with me being 10 years pro, me spending my last 2 years in the G League, stay around American basketball, like I was putting myself around college basketball, putting myself around the WNBA. My friend from Chicago has recently become the general manager of the Chicago Sky. With me becoming 10 years pro, I was like, man, kind of thinking about how I want to continue involved in basketball, even whenever I'm done playing, which is why, I sacrificed to play in the G League to stay around instead of just going straight abroad to play, building my business acumen. So, Harvard had a program like crossing over to business. I wanted to do that. I've done the NBA business program as well. Getting the NBA stamp, it just opens so many doors when you're able to be an extra in that club. I've been able to do like the NBA real estate program, NBA technology program, learning as much off the court and continuing to be a student is something that, is always important for me, especially because I have kids, wanting to give back information and learn as much as I can for them to continue to grow. Like I said, that's learning tech, learning business, learning in the front office, learning how to affect the game on the court, but also even in the summers when I have like a pro-am, sometimes like I'm learning how to affect the sidelines and, like from the stands, in the front office and in the, in the back office, just learning how organizations work. Like I said, just kind of putting my influence on organizations, or teams like GB or like AAU teams or just like, even the youth around my city, multiple ways to do that. So I just want to take the time out and learn that. Like, you see what Kyrie had posted the other day on, Kai Sinesh just like, you have to come to people just not, saying you don't know anything, like teaching you. So going to school has been the best way for me to learn and grow.
Yeah. All right, then last question, just advice you would give to young players trying to make it to the next level.
Yeah, advice I would give players is continue to believe in themselves, really actually play different sports. I played football growing up, be team oriented, listen to the details of the coach, focus on that detail while they training, be a leader, but also be a great follower. Follow good examples, great examples. Don't be afraid to be different, do different things. Don't always try to be the cool person. That doesn't last very long. And from high school to college, you have different friends, different crowds, so don't be afraid to just be yourself. And yeah, I would just say, for me, it was just a lot of hard work. Just maximize your hours, do it as productive as you can, and read books on things like that can help you at different times of your lifestyle. So those are just some initial thoughts, but that's where I get them.
Perfect. I think that's all I need. I'll send you a link to the article whenever it's done. And
subscribe to my man Jumpman Jimmy